and welcome to a special edition of Last Call. This is not John, but your usual co-host, Will. I am joined here by my regular It Ain't Ogre, Till It's Ogre co-host, Hey Matt.
Hey Will, how's it going?
I'm okay. I'm ready to talk about this movie that we saw together, which was, you want to announce what movie we saw?
Welcome to Marwen.
Welcome to Marwen, the new Robert Zemeckis movie. Robert Zemeckis, I think it's fair to say, one of the best directors of our time. Living directors.
He's got a few like perfect movies.
If you don't know, probably best known for Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He's also well known for
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump, which isn't a perfect film, but it's very well regarded.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot of other films that are
Castaway.
Yeah, Castaway.
A lot of people, despite the fact that like a lot of people don't think it's good. A lot of people really like the Polar Express.
I was gonna say Polar Express. That kind of gets into where we are with current age Zemeckis. He's kind of adopted this fixation, I guess, on motion capture. Mm-hmm. Polar Express kind of put it into the mainstream, so I guess he kind of took that success and ran with it with Beowulf, Christmas Carol, and did he do anything else motion capture wise after that? But till this,
he produced Mars Needs.
Yeah, Mars Needs Moms.
But I actually recently watched a video on YouTube that like was explaining like the downfall of how that like it quickly became apparent that these aren't worth the money that they cost to make. And
they're very expensive. Yeah.
That's why like now we have something like Welcome to Marwen where the motion capture is a part of the movie, but it's not the whole movie.
So you're saying that? I'll explain the plot in a bit. But are you implying that like the whole movie was probably going to be inside the dollhouse?
No.
Motion capture.
I don't think ever that. But I'm saying he's utilizing it in a different way.
Sure. Okay. So he's like trying to subtract the budget, but still uses technology.
Yeah. He still likes the technology and wants to use it.
But he can't. He understands that he can't make a full movie out
Correct.
of it. Okay.
That's my understanding of the situation.
Yeah. So the film, I guess we should explain the plot. Loosely, it's based on a 2010 documentary called Marwen Call, which is based on a real story. I believe the guy's name is Mark Hogenkamp. Is it Hogenkamp?
I believe so,
yeah. He was the victim of a traumatic assault where, in real life, or as far as it's presented in the documentary, he basically lost every memory in his head. He had to basically start anew. He had to relearn how to walk and talk and everything like that. The Welcome to Marwen doesn't go quite that far, but
they give us a brief flashback at the beginning.
Yeah, it's it doesn't quite go that far. But in this story, he basically has this miniature town filled with dolls and kind of miniaturettes, where he creates this sort of therapeutic way of kind of processing the world. Almost it's almost childlike in a way, but there's kind of adult.
Well, he's also doing it because he realizes after he's lost his memory that he used to be an artist, an illustrator, and so he's using these dolls to take photos and to still create art in a different way. Because he can't draw anymore.
Right.
He can no longer write.
And you get a little bit of the art installations in the documentary, but they're very much just still pictures that he narrates. So I guess Robert Zemeckis, having done The Walk back in 2015, where he took the documentary Man on Wire, great document, where he took that opportunity to basically show or dramatize the full, walking on the tightrope across the Twin Towers. He was like, I can use my great motion capture technology to live in the world of Marwen Call, or in this film, Marwen. I would say that the film is ill-advised at best.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to...
Yeah, it's very strange, because you can tell, we were talking about it, it's clear that this is a film made by an experienced veteran filmmaker, clearly an Oscar-winning filmmaker, in the sense that it's well-polished, it flows fairly well.
Shot very well.
Yeah, it's... You can't fault the technical mechanics of the film. Beyond the CG animation that they use.
Even the pacing, it keeps you interested the whole time.
Yeah, you're not really super bored by it, but
the tone.
I was telling Matt, as soon as the score began, it's from Alan Silvestri, who is a great composer, and
Back to the Future, The Avengers. Yeah, this guy's done it all.
Yeah, it's not a bad score, but as soon as the movie starts, the score they use, it's kind of whimsical,
full of adventure.
And it's this is not instantly. Not a shot of footage has been shown, but you can just kind of tell, this is not right. At least I knew, having a familiarity with the story.
We should also establish, Will has seen the documentary Marwen Call. I have not.
Yeah, but I could just tell instantly, this is not right. This is not the tone the take with this very sensitive personal story. But
Right.
all right, so we talked a little bit, we explained a little bit about the story. I think it's clear that neither of us liked the film, but Matt, kind of go into what your thoughts were, like seeing the trailers and just what was your experience heading into the film, and then now having seen the film, what do you think about it?
Well, I should clarify at the top of this that Back to the Future is my all-time favorite movie. It's like I was on Cinemaholics a couple weeks ago talking about how much I love Spider-Man. Back to the Future is like separate. It's just my favorite movie of all time. I love adventure sci-fi movies, and that's what Back to the Future. It's a perfect movie, arguably, and seen it a million times. And so I always like Zemeckis because Roger Rabbit's another one of my favorite movies. And so seeing the trailer for this, I like Steve Carell a lot. This was months ago, and I was like, oh, that looks weird, but I hope it's good. I would like to see a new good Zemeckis movie.
Yeah, you didn't see his last two, right?
No, I haven't. You
didn't see Flight either.
I don't think I've seen a Zemeckis movie since Polar Express.
Really? You didn't see Beowulf or Christmas Carol?
Nope.
Okay.
And even before that, I never saw Castaway either.
Oh man, I'm sorry. This is the one you had to see.
It's fine. It is what it is. But in any case, yeah, I was hoping that it would be good. Will, when we got out of the theater, you described the movie as the kind of bad movie that only an esteemed director could make.
Basically, yeah. I said it's the type of very bad film only a truly great filmmaker can make, in the sense that, like, only a filmmaker as talented as Zemeckis can make a film like we said, like as well polished as this, but truly misguided. Like every decision was wrong in this creatively.
Yeah.
But it's not like a faulty made film. Like you can't say it's incompetent.
No.
It's just misguided.
Yeah. Completely misguided. And that's I can't imagine a better way to describe it. Like the prequels, the Star Wars prequels come to mind, in that it's someone with a lot of clout that nobody wanted to argue with them. That this happened. The whole thing with this movie is tonally, it's all over the place. I was never completely sure how I was supposed to feel. If I was supposed to be laughing, if it was supposed to be awkward, if it was supposed to be dramatic and sad. I mean, there's a part that's supposed to be really dramatic of this movie.
I think, yeah.
Involving a PTSD, incident that I was biting my hand so that because there were other people in the theater and I didn't want to be rude, but I was cracking up at it because it was hilariously bad.
Yeah, I think... not that this really matters, but were we the youngest people in the audience by
easily
20 years?
Well, the people behind us were a little younger, but I still think they were probably at least in their 30s.
Yeah, it's definitely, I think it's not doing well at the box office at all, but I'm guessing it's skewing towards an older audience. And I don't even know if I don't know who this is for, honestly. I really do not know. Like you said, I don't know who this movie was intended for, and I don't know what it was trying to convey.
Yeah.
I was explaining this earlier to you off the air that I can see with The Walk what he was trying to do as far as bringing that documentary into a dramatic form.
Sure.
I can see how he could use his state-of-the-art technology to make that story.
So is there motion cap in that?
Not really motion cap, but a lot of green screens and a lot of it's very special effects heavy for the crucial.
Yeah. Zemeckis loves visual effects.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I could see how, as a dramatic storyteller, he could take that documentary and be like, okay, I can see how I can use my talents here and create a good film. I think it's a good film. It's kind of overlooked as far as his resume is concerned, but it's worth checking out.
I wanted to see it. I just never.
Yeah. It came and went from theaters, but this film, I really it's a good documentary. I would definitely recommend checking it out. Yeah, definitely. If you get a chance, check it out. But it's short too. It's only 80 minutes. But I really do not I can see it's a good story, but I don't know what Zemeckis, knowing that he knows himself as a storyteller, is what can I bring to the story? And I guess it's you can kind of get into his head, but it very much is focusing on the wrong elements, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe not wrong, but the way he conveys a lot of this sensitive personal stuff about Mark Hogenkamp. It makes the story, like you said, tonally, it's impossible to know what's going on in any scene.
Yeah.
The story is so jumbled as far as conveying the information it's trying to convey, and it's so faulty in its execution as far as the narrative is concerned that there's this though I don't want to give anything away, but there's very much personal stuff about Hogenkamp that's revealed as the film goes on, and I think there is I don't want to say sensitivity, but there's a sympathy. There's sympathy towards his character, but there's not really that sensitive in that approach. It's very blatant in how it's made. It's very bombastic, I guess, in how its approach.
Yeah,
and it never feels authentic, and that's a big issue. Is that I think for a film like this, the reason why the documentary works is that throughout it all, it's authentic. it has like weird jumps. It has sort of odd turns and twists, but it's ultimately true to Hogan Camp story. It's a stranger fiction type story. Mm-hmm. But as a narrative film, it never quite captures that because I think, for one, Mark Hogan Camp is just not there, like not the real Mark Hogan Camp. But I just don't, like, again, I don't honestly know what Zemeckis was doing here.
Yeah.
It's a shame. Like I said, like you said, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that's one of my all-time favorite films. I talked about that on the Happy Time Murders
Another
episode.
arguably perfect movie.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I really enjoyed that movie a lot, and I have a lot of respect for Zemeckis. I like most of his movies.
Yeah.
But this one, I would say it's his worst.
You think?
I think, yeah. I was looking over his resume. I haven't seen everything, but of what I've seen, I really don't think he's made a film this bad in his whole career.
Yeah. I'd be so curious to see his Yellow Submarine that he was going to make.
I was curious about that too. Yeah, even though I never really liked this motion capture. I guess you only saw Polar Express, you said, and
correct.
Where'd you stand on that?
I don't hate it.
Okay.
I see why people aren't crazy about it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in several years, but I understand why people feel that children have dead eyes and whatnot, and that it's creepy.
Uncanny Valley,
all that. But that never bugged me because it always struck me as like a painting. Like it looked like Chris Van Allsburg's, if that's the author of the Polar Express's name. It looked like his illustrations to me. So as a kid, I liked it.
Yeah. I have mixed feelings towards it. I think it's not terrible, but it's not nearly as good as people make it out to be.
Yeah.
I remember liking Beowulf when I saw it.
Yeah.
But I rewatched some of it, and the animation does not hold up.
Yeah.
And I will say the animation in this film is not good.
I would disagree with that.
You think so?
I think this animation is actually pretty good.
It kind of weaves and flows because should we talk about the one transition scene that we get?
Oh yeah, that's not animation. That's just editing.
Well, it's a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Should we? Well, honestly, do we need to at some point get into spoilers on this thing, or
you might as well? Do you have anything more non-spoilery to say about the film?
Yeah, we can wait on spoilers.
I will say I will talk a little bit about the performances if you want.
Yeah. Let's do.
I think all things considered, Steve Carell gave a good performance.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he did as well as he could have. I think he portrayed Mark Hogan Camp fairly well.
Yeah.
As far as especially having seen the documentary.
Michael Scott screams aside.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Considering how awkward and uneven the tone is, I commend him for doing as well as he could.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment.
And I think, there's no bad performance, but every female character
super underwritten.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's every woman character in the film is very, very underwritten. It's a shame because Leslie Mann, talented actress, Janelle Monáe is in the film, who's great. I think she's the best part of Hidden Figures. Just talking about her acting career. And I thought her character was severely underwritten.
She's in one scene.
Well, she's in a couple of
as an action figure. Yeah. That's the thing.
But she did the motion capture for that.
Right.
Yeah.
The trailers make this out like it's going to be these women are like a big part of his life, and then they're also represented in the action figures. But with the exception of who's the woman who works at the hobby shop?
I forget her character's name. Yeah, I don't know the actor's name.
Okay, well, there's a woman who works at a hobby shop. I apologize for forgetting the actress's name. And then Leslie Mann's character. All of these other women of Marwen, quote unquote, appear in approximately one other scene.
Right.
As actual humans. And most of those are in the trailer. They don't serve any purpose. They don't have any arc aside from they want to help.
Besides helping our white male lead protagonists.
And that's an issue, but,
yeah.
One could make the argument, well, that doesn't serve this story, but it's a 2-hour movie, and you can have a B plot or two. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it really makes me question, how Zemeckis has portrayed women in his films.
Yeah.
I was willing to cut him some slack with, Roger Rabbit, Jessica Rabbit. It's, kind of seen as, sex symbol.
Yeah, because it's, a parody in that.
Right, yeah, but, now that I think about it, I haven't seen Contact, but...
You figure that was also a different time, though, too. The current moment is significantly different than 89. Is that when Roger Rabbit came out?
Yeah. I'm not just singling it to Roger Rabbit.
Right, I know, but I'm saying, in the 80s, though. 80s and the early 90s.
Yeah, I don't want to cut him too much slack for that.
I'm not. You could make the argument that Jenny in Forrest Gump has a pretty solid arc.
Yeah, that's fair.
She has a full story. She's a round character,
Yeah, and we're not the guys to talk about this.
No, of course not, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want...
Two white males, two straight white males.
Right, I don't want to divulge the point too long, because there are certainly better
The point is, if two straight white guys from the Midwest can tell that the females are underwritten...
Sure.
it's pretty apparent that the females are underwritten.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah, I mean, I think like cinematography is decent. Like I said, I really can't fault anything from a production standpoint. It's really just the script and the direction.
Bad. Very bad.
But we'll talk about more our grievances with the film.
Yeah.
But we'll give our quick grades, and then we'll talk a little bit if you want to hear about our more spoilery, ranty things about the film. Because Matt has a lot he has to say
but
about...
But it all involves the third act, yeah.
About big twists in the film, which, I mean, I would not recommend you watch this film.
Yeah, so honestly, I'm going to explain it in the spoilers, so... If you, you know, with the intent that there are people going to be listening to this that haven't and won't see the movie. So.
And please feel free to check out the documentary. I don't want anyone to feel discouraged from checking out Mark Hogan-Camp's art. I actually recommend you look at the real stuff and check out his real profile.
Yeah.
But, I'm going to give the movie a D+.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same, D+.
Yeah, it's, like I said, we'll talk about more why we give it that. It sounds pretty low because we kind of sound like we're like in C territory right now. But like really, the creative decisions that they take are atrocious.
Yeah, there were a couple times that I turned to Will and was just like, "What the heck are we watching?"
I debate. I don't know if I'd ever told. I was debate. I was gonna walk out for one segment just because I wanted to break.
Yeah,
and I never do that.
Yeah,
like,
you don't. Yeah. Wasn't the only time you ever left a movie when you saw The Phantom Menace?
Yeah, well, that was not really, like, I couldn't...
It was because your brother was too loud.
Yeah, he was having a meltdown. So, like I said, I mean, very, very rarely do I ever feel the need to, like, leave a movie unless, like, I have to go to the bathroom or something. But, so, that'll give you a preview into how we feel about the film. So...
And just to clarify, the only reason that it's a D+ and not, like, a D- or an F or a normal D is because the technical... Like, technically, it's a well-made film.
That's what I mean. Like, for that and Steve Carell's performance, I can't...
You can't completely write it off.
Like, I feel like there's a part of me that wants to give it, like, a C- for that, but, like, I just think... What is so bad about this film is so misguided that I feel like it's not fair unless like
no one should watch it.
Yeah.
I don't even. Is this even worth hate watching? Like to watch to laugh at? I feel like it's not funny enough to laugh at.
We'll talk about that more in a bit, but I don't honestly know like anything that's funny. Like I feel bad about laughing, even when the movie wants you to laugh about.
Right? Yeah, because it's like awkward. Again, the whole tone.
I mean, it's about a serious like a real life guy.
Yeah.
Who went through this terrible, traumatic situation. So you don't want to laugh at this.
Right, because it's a thing that legitimately happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's a serious thing. And, I mean, you feel awful for the guy. I mean, I can't even imagine what he went through. But, I mean, yeah, I just really, I mean, like I said before, I do not know what Zemeckis wanted to achieve with this film. And having seen the film now, I still don't know.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the trailers. I definitely feel that now. So, yeah, let's talk a little bit about spoilers. So, official spoiler warning.
Yes.
Like I said, don't bother unless you want to check out the documentary. But we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about our individual, like, nitpicky grievances with the film. Yes. So should we start with the big one, or should we move to that towards the end?
Let's work up to that, because we want to talk about that transition that we teased earlier, because I don't want people...
Yeah, let's start there.
So there's a couple times in this movie does it transition from real life to the dolls. And I'm calling them dolls because he calls them dolls. That's not like a call out or anything. But yeah.
No, you're not dismissing it.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing it. He calls them dolls. So there are a couple times it transitions from like the real actor to that actor as a doll in the CGI, whatever. And for the most part, those transitions are really solid. But there's one towards the beginning of the movie whenever Steve Carell's character, Mark, first goes to work. The first time we see him go to work. And he brings...
Not Meatball Day.
Not on Meatball Day. He brings up something that he's talking to another coworker about, and then he like looks at a bulletin board, and then it fades into...
It triggers a memory.
It triggers a memory and goes into a sequence. At the end of which we see the action figure Steve Carell turn into the real Steve Carell. And for whatever reason, this transition makes the transition in the end of Saving Private Ryan look like Into the Spider-Verse of anime.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess the way that most filmmakers, I mean, if I had to assume, would have shot this was like, if you had to have this idea, you would just, like, you'd have the motion capture Steve Carell doll turn, cut, like a over-the-shoulder shot of the woman, like, Mark, are you okay? Cut back to Steve Carell, but it's real Steve Carell.
Right.
But for some reason, Zemeckis and his, like, I got my gee-whiz wonderful technology here, he decided to basically do that, except when he cuts back to Steve Carell, it's still the doll, but he like kind of like does like the mask kind of like transition.
Yeah, it like fade. It's like a crossfade, but like a morph. It's a morph.
Right. That's what that's like. It's like that morph when like the mask, the Jim Carrey movie, like takes off the mask and he like does like the.
Yeah, it looks horrible and like hilarious.
His face literally extends like
he like turns around. His body is facing a different direction.
Right.
And in the background like spins almost.
Yeah.
It's jarring and it's funny. And like
I really hope that GIF comes out.
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I can't.
Yeah, again, we don't recommend the movie, but whenever it comes out, we'll try to find this GIF.
Yeah, I audibly like shook, like not audibly, like I involuntarily like shook.
You shuddered.
Yeah, I couldn't help it. Like it was like, ugh.
Yeah. So there's that. What else? So
well, I was just thinking like imagining the Zemeckis like commentary, like what I love about that shot is just how seamless it is.
Because it's just not at all.
Mm-hmm. Should we talk about how like the whole town?
Oh yeah, the whole so this
not the town of Marwen.
No, like the town that Marwen is in.
Yeah.
Like Steve Carell, real life Steve Carell's town. So the town that the movie takes place in.
They ever see what it's called?
I don't believe they do, which probably is for the better because
Every Town USA.
Yeah, Every Town USA. It's clearly like a smaller town. Well, they say it's in upstate New York. That's all they give us.
Which is where actual Mark lived. Yeah.
But based on the events of this movie, it seems like either nothing else happens in this town or no one else cares about anything in this town because everyone knows Mark.
Yeah, everyone.
Everyone.
They always stop by his house.
They always stop by and they're always talking about what he's up to. Like, at one point, Leslie Mann's character comes up to him and is like, hey, I saw you on the news. I saw what was happening to you on the news. It's just horrible.
Yeah,
like,
and there's another scene where he's in a hobby shop getting his dolls, and he accidentally turns the TV on. And it just happens to be playing
a news report about him.
So we're led to believe, because that's the only 2 times I think we ever see the TV, that just 24/7 news coverage is always about Mark Hollenkamp and what's going on with his trial and just general updates. I think like you compared it to the Truman Show, and I think that's basically like what.
Yeah, our friend Mike said that actually, but
sorry.
You're good. But yeah, so there's that, and I guess should I just get into the third act thing that made me angry?
The thing that really grinded
my gears and threw my fandom in my face.
The straw and that
broke the camel. It made me mad.
Yeah.
Well, I should establish. So there's a character in this movie, that's a Belgian witch.
Yeah, who isn't like. Well, I guess I explain that this character's kind of in the documentary, but not like overtly
to the extent that she is in the movie. She's a blue woman.
No, her hair is blue.
Her hair is blue, right? She's normal color, but she's like a doll that Mark has in his house.
Maybe say it one more time.
Oh, sorry, yeah. She's a normal doll that has blue hair, and they really lay it on thick that she represents his addiction to the pills the painkiller pills that he's been taking. Because she's the same color as the pills. When she disappears, it takes the form of a little pill. She lays out the pills next to it. Again, they really lay it on thick here.
The only way they could lay it on thicker is if the movie was in 3D, and somehow through 3D technology you could put the pill into our laps.
Handed us the pill. Yeah, she even at one point says, "I am your addiction."
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
So it's like it's very overt, but so she fulfills that role, and I don't remember the actress's name, but it's the woman in the National Treasure movies.
Diane Kruger.
Diane Kruger. Okay. So she's there, and throughout the whole movie, she's like in a perch in Mark's house, kind of tormenting him, telling him things. But he thinks he loves her, but he's also not sure. She's always appearing in the background. Another thing that I really wasn't sure what they were going for with her, because
at one point they kind of imply it's like the ex-wife character.
Oh, I never got that.
I don't know, because they allude to the wife.
Yeah, he said he notes that he was married before everything happened.
But I don't know if that was what they were supposed to take away, because otherwise it's just like I don't know what they're going for.
Yeah. In any case, at one point, without warning, the event that sets off the third act of this movie is she comes to Mark when he's asleep and wakes him up and says, "I need you to build me a time machine."
Quick zoom in on Steve Carell's eyes, I think.
Yeah. Because one of the things that she does as the Belgian witch, because we should establish Marwen is a town in Belgium in this fantasy of Steve Carell.
Yeah, well, I mean, they make painfully exposition points to note that this is not a real town.
Yes.
But rather a combination of the name Mar, and Wendy, Wen.
Wendy is the woman who saved or who found him after he had gotten beat up.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Which I don't think was ever established in the documentary, but in any case.
Yeah. So she turns him and so as the Belgian witch, she brings the Nazi soldiers back to life.
Oh, yeah, there are a lot of Nazis in the movie.
Yeah.
I don't even think we ever got around to mentioning
We never mentioned the Nazis. She, like, brings them back to life, but then she also, I guess, sends people... Like, at one point, Steve Carell's character, the action figure character, Hoagie, saves a milkmaid, and then she gets shot by a Nazi, and then the witch sends her, 15 million years into the future or something? Yeah, and that's like what she does. She sends people into the future.
Which is something that is taken from the documentary, but it's like an aside.
Right.
Not the third act.
Yeah, so she turns to Mark and says, I need a time machine because now she needs to go to the future, which I don't understand why she can't use her witch powers.
It's very poorly explained in this.
Yeah. Anyway, she needs a time machine. So Mark complies and builds a time machine. And this is the part that made me mad because
like, at this point, you see, like, he grabs, like, a lava lamp and, like...
Yeah, he gets a lava lamp.
You don't really know, like, what is going to happen. I mean, you can...
What the time machine's going to be.
You just know a time machine. And, like, the actual time machine in the documentary is, like, a VCR that's, like, filled out with, like a cell phone and, like, little other gadgets and knickknacks.
So then you remember that Robert Zemeckis, the esteemed director and co-writer of Back to the Future, is the director and co-writer here. And so Mark holds up the time machine, and it's a semi-Lego car... Mm-hmm. That is clearly made to look like the DeLorean from Back to the Future. And then he says, and I quote, yes, of course it flies. And he presses a button which causes all of the four wheels to turn sideways, a la the end of Back to the Future. And
if you listened really quietly in the theater, you could hear Matt's soul dying just a little bit at that moment.
Again, Back to the Future is my all-time favorite movie. This made me livid beyond anything.
I was right next to him. He was very mad.
Yeah, and, well, because the car itself... didn't make me mad at first. I was just kind of like, all right.
It's lame, but
yeah, it's lame, but whatever. But then, in like the fantasy world, they turn on the time machine, and it makes all of the same sound effects as the DeLorean.
They played the
time
score.
Machine. They reference the score, but it's not a direct.
But I thought they played like at least like two like little like beats like do do.
Maybe
I don't know.
The car has the time travel effects. It's like the blue sparks that jump off the front of it, just like in Back to the Future. So it's all the visual it's the visual effects and the sound effects.
Just
and then whenever
it,
really just, hey, look, remember when I made Back to the Future 30 years ago? And then the car jumps off into the future, and it, of course, leaves two twin trails of flames.
Yeah.
And that was the moment that I was completely done and completely livid.
Which is that's like the climax of the film.
Right, yeah. Because it's him beating his addiction, I guess, because he sends her to the future.
Yeah, I feel like if we even tried to explain half the things in this movie, we could not, like, really do justice to how, like, cuckoo bananas this is.
Yeah, those of you who are listening to this without having seen the movie, I hope we've explained it enough just to make sense, but it doesn't even make sense to us. So if it doesn't, that's why.
Yeah, I don't know as far as that decision is concerned. I don't know if it was like I said in the documentary. They have a time machine, but it's kind of like an aside. I don't know if Zemeckis, when he saw the film and he decided I'm going to do this story as my whatever film as a director, if he was just like, okay, I need a time machine, and like that's the eureka moment, or if he saw the movie and he was like, they have a time machine, it's perfect. I made a movie about a time machine. Or if the studio was like, hey, Rob, we saw the script, we noticed there needed to be a time machine. Just throwing this out there, we're Universal.
What if you reference Back to the Future?
He's like, guys, quit drilling, you've hit oil.
Yeah. The thing that makes me the most upset about this, and this is something that I actually only just realized now, I must have subconsciously realized it, but it's that it's pretty well known that Universal doesn't have the power to make a Back to the Future sequel. For whatever reason, in the original contract, it's up to Bob Gale and Robert Zemeckis. There will never be a Back to the Future sequel without their approval.
Yeah.
And they have always said that they have no intentions of ruining the story by trying to extend it.
I mean, why bother?
Yeah, exactly. We already did the perfect thing, whatever. this has me worried that maybe he's going to go back on that promise and try to bring it back.
I mean, if this is his state of mind,
exactly,
making this film, what else is going through that brain?
Yeah, and so it's troubling to say the least.
I don't know. I mean, you did hint that like Phil Lord and Chris Miller may or may not be interested in doing some kind of reboot sequel thing. I guess if they had to do it, they'd be the people.
If it was anyone, I would trust them to do it.
But even still, like, I mean,
I don't want that.
I mean, really don't. I mean, not to dive too deep into Back to the Future, but
yeah, well, Phil Lord and Chris Miller are my favorite working writer-directors in Hollywood, and Back to the Future is my favorite movie, and I don't want those things to associate with each other. Like that should say enough. I feel like. I
just don't like even if you wanted to do like the Star Wars thing, like it's so self-contained. It's just those three. Well, I guess primarily two, and then like a couple of side characters. But really, I mean, it's like 5 characters at most. Story focused. It's not like Star Wars, where it's this big expansive universe. Yeah. It's just like 2 or 3 characters are
it's just
aware
a guy
of the time machine.
Yeah, he makes a mistake and he's trying to fix it. Like, it's a pretty simple story, all things considered.
I don't think you can do like a Into the Spider-Verse, Force Awakens type reboot with this property. So in any case,
back to Marwen.
I mean, how long are we going on here?
We're at 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, we can bring up the scene that we both love so much.
Oh, the scream.
Yeah.
This is the part I alluded to earlier with the PTSD moment that made me laugh. So Steve Carell's character, is watching a porno, right?
Yeah. Adult film, yes.
Yeah, an adult film that stars
Robert Zemeckis' wife. I believe it's Robert Zemeckis' wife. Yeah.
Which is one of the other women of Marwen, which another thing that's just not really ever explained.
She's in the hometown, apparently.
Oh, is she?
I think they say that at one point.
Oh, okay. Well, in any case, she's on the TV, and it's in a stereotypical adult film fashion. A man comes to the door, like a plumber or a pizza delivery guy or something. Yeah. And he, like, yells something, and then the movie immediately turns... The movie turns him into a Nazi doll.
Yeah. Like, just the head.
Oh, no, it's his whole body.
Really? Okay.
Sure, yeah.
I thought it was just the head.
And he starts yelling, and he has the complete dumbest expression on his face, too. It's like teeth sticking out.
Poorly animated.
Ah! Yeah. And then it, like, zooms in real close, and then Steve Carell screams in a completely Michael Scott yell. Like, no! And it is hilarious.
And I think it was supposed to be like a troubling, disturbing moment for our protagonist, because it's like the character's like at emotional bottom.
Yeah.
So it's like not like a time for jokes.
No, not at all. But
especially not in this poor of fashion.
Yeah, he just starts screaming.
And I think that scene alone, it's out of context in the film. I can't imagine showing that clip to anyone out of context.
And yet, I feel like that scene is a perfect
amalgamation of
a perfect microcosm of the whole movie. Yeah.
So with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. I mean, there's a lot we can say, but I think we'll choose not to.
Yeah.
I would not recommend this movie.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a shame because we both like the director a lot. We both are big fans of Zemeckis' work.
And Steve Carell.
Yeah, obviously. I think everyone involved has proven themselves in some way or another, but I think no one told Zemeckis to no on this script or this project. And or they just were like, oh, well, it doesn't really work now. Like, maybe, Zemeckis is good. He'll figure it out. Like, sometime, like, we don't see it now, but he has a big picture in his brain.
It'll come together.
And it just never did.
It did not.
That's, like, basically what happened with the prequels. So, with that, if you see it at your own peril.
Maybe when it comes out on HBO or whatever.
Yeah, I would not pay money to see it. No.
Sorry, Universal.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to Zemeckis.
Everybody. Sorry to everyone involved.
Yeah. For all things considered, I do think they had good intentions. Like, I don't think it's like a nakedly cynical film.
Definitely not.
But it's a terrible one at all the same. So I think we'll end it there.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week with a regular episode of Cinemaholics. From the Internet Pennsylvania, I'm Will.
And from the Internet Pennsylvania, I'm Matt.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye.